Our concerns, of course, on the flooding project is, a project where you're taking 3 years plus to close Howard Avenue in stages is going to be really detrimental for the neighborhood. We clearly believe and agree with the folks in Parkland and Palmacia Pines that they've got to have flood relief. They have to have flood relief. Um, we are of the mindset that there's a better way of doing it,
Mm.
a faster way. I think what a lot of people have not realized is that this project is going to be in the design phase for about a year and a half now. So in the fall of 26 is about the earliest they would start this. And then it's about 3+ years where they would start down at Bayshore, and then they would kind of start this slow, burying of this massive box culvert under Howard Avenue for a gravity-fed system to suck all the water out, or let the water, fall via gravity. And so by the time they get to Parkland, it's about 3 years from the start. So it's about 4.5 years from now. So that doesn't provide Parkland or Palmacia Pines any immediate relief. And so we just felt like, we don't just moving this from one neighborhood to the other and causing someone else destruction, putting it through new suburb or putting it through, that's not that we just decided that's a loser. So we hired an engineer and we said, wait, can we employ some additional or other thoughts about engineering? I mean, there are places like New Orleans, there are places like the Netherlands, which are, literally the entire country of the Netherlands is, supported by a pump system. And so I think that, just sort of discarding a pump as a way of sucking water out is just not taking advantage of some of the technologies. I know the city is loath to have pumps because they don't want to maintain them. They just want a gravity system, and the water just flows under this big tunnel, and gravity just takes it out and it flows into the bay. But as we've peeled the onion back on this, and trust me, the city, it's not a fun thing for the city to have to deal with this. I understand somebody is going to be ticked off somewhere, or everybody's going to be ticked off.
Sure.
It's possible for that. The common good. But I do think as we've peeled this back, we have found out so many things that I think are detrimental. And I'll just give you some examples. One is the crosstown has to connect to this. So in order for the city to get the crosstown's money, and we met with the Crosstown Authority, we've taken the time to go have meetings with all the constituents that are involved in this thing, and in the neighborhoods with the crosstown. We have an upcoming meeting with CSX, and what we have found is that all of that water that has to connect off the Selman Expressway for their widening has to connect into somewhere. And so the Crosstown Authority was like somewhat ambivalent. They said, look, if you want us to connect into yours, then the money that we would have spent elsewhere we'll put into your package. And so, but the connection they're talking about making is at the Crosstown and Howard. And so that the water off the Crosstown would go directly into this tunnel, and all that road grime and all that effluent coming off of there would go directly into the bay. No slowdown, no filtration, no ponds, just straight in there. And they'll admit that. If you talk to Kimmons, they're like, "Yep, that water's going right off the crosstown, right into a culvert, and right into the bay." And so, that's one of those things that's like, okay, well, let's all talk openly about that. Let's be transparent about that, so everybody knows all the road grime from the crosstown is going right in the bay. It's not going into a pond. It's not settling anywhere, and that's also going to possibly jeopardize the DEP money that they're getting, which is a $10 million from the Department of Environmental Protection. And that requires a whole bunch of that type of filtration and all that. So, which is not going to be happening in that particular case. So we said, look, we don't want to move it from one neighbor to the other. We know the city's got an issue. We know Parkland and Palmacia Pines has an issue. What do we do here? So we came up with this plan where we said, take the pipes down Swan Avenue. It's a big road. You don't even have to close the whole road like you do Howard. You can just close one lane. And then take it down underneath the park over by where the Winn-Dixie, which is now an Aldi, that huge park over there, and put vaults underneath there. You can slow the water down. You can store a bunch of water. And then when it overflows from there, you've got this city-owned ditch that runs along next to the Crosstown Expressway, and then along the CSX ditch, and put a force main pipe in there and just pump the water out that way. You don't have to close Howard Avenue. You don't have to destroy businesses. You don't have to go through and destroy neighborhoods. It's a commercial road with Swan. It's got plenty of room, so you don't have to close all of Swan. You don't have to close off a lane. So if it may not be a gravity-fed system, it may involve pumps, but it's certainly worth looking at. I think if you're going to get into the canopy of Parkland, and now with the box culverts, because they've done the water calculations on this now, and the box culverts are going to have to be pretty dang big, and they're talking about, I think, 36 feet is the number. So if you think about that, now you're getting into people's sidewalks, and you're talking about the canopy. And for these people that, where they're going to have to park in satellite lots and then take golf carts, or go to Publix and, unload their groceries in a golf cart and then be taken from a satellite lot, that's not going to be fun for people to live through.
No, and that neighborhood has enjoyed that tree canopy for a long time, and it's a huge reason why that neighborhood is so special. So to remove that or to jeopardize that canopy, that's a dangerous thing to do. Now, has this alternative idea along Swan, into Hyde Park, and then down the ditch, has that been put in front of the city? Or is that what's happening today? Today's May 1st.
It has, yeah. We prepared the package, and we've given it to Kimmons, and we've given it to the city engineers.
What's the reaction?
I think at first it was like, well, we don't know about that. We have to, we have to think about it, and that may not work because of this, or work of that because of that. I just think if we can get them to open up their minds a little bit and say, gosh, if we do employ some of this technology and do some of this, then maybe this could work. If they just would answer it that way, it would make us feel a lot better.
Sure.
That they're not just sort of giving us lip service, and they're not just cramming this thing down Howard Avenue, because you're talking about a $60 to $70 to $80 million project. It's a huge undertaking. It's going to be very destructive for the neighborhood. I just want to make sure that all the neighbors and our friends and family and friends and the neighbors, they know we want to be a part of the solution. We don't want to kill the project. I'm looking to find solutions, and we know that the flooding needs to be fixed, and we all got to lean in and do our fair share. But I do think we ought to all know the facts.
Hey guys, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, click right here. Make sure to subscribe by clicking right here. Thank you for watching.